Hey guys, here's a lemon cypress that I got on clearance for $7. It's called a Monterey cypress on that, but I did a little research, having not known much about these, and I found them called a lot of different things, but for the most part, lemon cypress is its common name. Seems to be a gold crest variety. That's one common denominator that I see on everything. So anyways, I've never had one. This is my first, nor do I know anybody who has one. So this is going to be an experiment. It's considered a conifer, which in my mind meant it has to be outside 24/7, 365 days a year, like a juniper or a pine. However, this one is kind of a gray area because it is temperate for zones 7 through 10. I, here in Boise, Idaho, am zone 6, which is too cold. So I'm going to attempt to keep this inside. I looked at a lot of websites, tried to do some research, just some basic stuff, and found that it seemed like half of them say you can grow them indoors and should grow them indoors, and half of them say you cannot. So clear as mud. So we're going to find out together through this little experiment. I'm going to pot it up in one of these bonsai pots. My first instinct was the blue purple one there. It's kind of a real deep blue purple. It's a real nice pot. I thought the colors would contrast. What do you think? I'll give you a spoiler alert. I went with the bigger one. Went with the black one. In the end, I thought the black and the yellow-green would contrast better. The blue and yellow-green was just a little too colorful. I like a splash of color, not like a whole rainbow of colors. So I thought that would give it a perfect little contrasting splash. So I'm starting just to kind of trim lightly, I guess I would say. I'm easing my way into this. I don't really know what to expect on any of it, really. I don't know how well it responds to pruning or having its roots pruned. And I don't know what the branch structure is like. It seems pretty dense in there. I looked around, I tried to wiggle in there to get a good look, but it seems like it's got kind of a twin trunk thing going on. About halfway up it splits and it's got two main trunks, but otherwise a little hard to tell. So I'm going to do kind of a hedge pruning, get rid of some of these lower branches and take any of the longer branches back just so they can ramify and split, create more branching. And it'll be kind of a process. After I get it done, I'll keep it in my office and just look at it for a while, and just think about it. Sometimes it just takes a while. I have to just look at a tree for a long period of time. I'll be talking on the phone at work or doing whatever and kind of just looking at it, and something along the way will start to stick out to me. I'll go, I should do this. So for now, I'm just going to try to trim it into shape a little bit, slowly but surely, not getting too drastic with it. So a little more about these that I read about. From what I understand, they're somewhat fast growing. They can reach, if planted in the ground, can reach up to 20 feet in height. That wouldn't work here, of course, it's on zone B. Apparently from what I've read, not from my experience, but from what I've read, they respond well to pruning. A lot of the websites that you'll probably, I'm sure I've seen this before too, or if not, then you will. When you go to get information, you'll find 20 generic websites, MrGardener.com and thegardenperson.com, and all of their advice is basically the same. They like well-draining soil. They like sunlight, maybe some shade, maybe not. Be sure to fertilize a few times during the growing season. That kind of thing. It's like, okay. It's hard to find very specific information, which is half the reason I do these videos. Because if I don't know and I can't find it, chances are other people can't find it either. So I'll just go in and experiment and share my ups and downs, and we'll learn together. If you've watched any of my older videos, which I hope you don't because I'm half embarrassed about them, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of experimenting where now I go back and watch and I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Don't do that. Anyways, I digress. Lemon Cypress Bonsai. It does have kind of a lemony scent to it when you trim it. Not as much as I thought, maybe. Like if you've ever trimmed a lemon tree, that really smells like lemon, obviously. I guess I kind of expected the same here, but not quite as strong. Just a little. But they sure are cool looking. They're very aesthetic. And for $7 on clearance, I just couldn't help myself. As you can see, I'm just sort of hedge pruning it down into a general shape and size. It's always funny for me to watch these videos after I do it because I'm looking at the exact same project but from a different angle. Currently I'm sitting at 90 degrees from the camera. So my angle and my thought process as I'm going through and trimming it is completely different than what it looks like watching the video. If this works out and it survives for, till Christmas, let's say, I might go out and get a bunch of these and give them away as Christmas presents. Who knows? Trim them up, put them in a bonsai pot, and give them away. No idea what to expect in here. So I sort of have the same approach that I took with trimming. I'm just going to ease my way in. I'm going to go into super fast mode here so as to not bore you with half hour of digging in dirt. I almost always eventually give up and just start digging into it with my hands. Just doing a little cleanup as I go. Eventually, once I get really in there, I get a better look at the roots. There's a few big roots in there. The top part of the root ball there is pretty tight. The bottom part was much looser. All right, so there's a better look at it. I didn't completely bare root it. I'm told with conifers you really don't want to completely bare root them, ever. I don't know if that's true 100% of the time or not, but I've never tempted fate. So I'm just going to get rid of these big thick roots here. Eventually I just had to stop because if I kept going there'd be nothing left. So here we go. I'm using pretty close to my typical soil mix. My typical soil mix, for anybody who doesn't know, is just 3 ingredients. Perlite, safety absorb, and pine bark. And occasionally I'll throw in some pumice rock or maybe some small volcanic rock if I'm lucky and have some. In this case, I went with just the main 3 ingredients, just perlite, safety absorbed, and pine bark. But I did add probably 2.5 times the amount of pine bark that I would normally add. So it's heavier on the pine bark, being a conifer and all. And since it's going to be indoors, and I'm just going to work in the soil real good. I have to say that part of me is a little bit skeptical because typically conifers don't like living inside. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's that or nothing, really. Being in zone 6, it can't live outside. At least not during the winter. It's now, heading into mid-November, so it's this or nothing. I think these trees are typically used for, around the holidays. It's one of those type of plants, unfortunately, that people buy around the holidays and then just sort of toss them. Which maybe is why I got it on clearance. I did not wire the tree into the pot. It's just going to be sitting in my window in my office. It'll be not exposed to wind or anything. So I'll just put some rocks on there for stability. And in the end, I got rid of that big rock on the left because it just sort of didn't fit the mold. And that branch right there. And so there it is. That's the finished product. I thought the pot was a good choice. It really contrasts with that color well. And it's deep enough so that it's got room to grow. So that's my lemon cypress bonsai. I'll keep you updated on how it goes, if it dies or if it lives, and how well it's doing, if it struggled, in an effort to share the knowledge. So like and subscribe if you haven't yet. You can see updates on this one and any other trees that I've got. I've got a whole variety. So I appreciate everybody who does. And I hope you liked the video. Thanks. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.